I'd say our last show was probably one of the best shows that we've done yet. Fighters Are Family in memory of Gary Alilovich. Packed house. I mean, the show was sold out by 6 o'clock. We had over 500 people in that building and probably turned away 100, 150 people. It's definitely time that we look into a bigger venue. We like the small shows. We want to keep it small and we want to keep it up close and personal and what I call intimate. It's you know, when you go to other shows, you don't sit up on the cage like you do at a tapped out show. I mean, you have a chance of getting blood on you, you know, and stuff at our shows. I just think that our last show, like I said, was probably our best show. I'd say it does a lot for local communities. When we bring a fight to your city, I mean, not only does it, you know, it adds business for that hotel, it adds business for the local, you know, fast food restaurants. I mean, it's MMA is a community in its own. It's a small knit, like I said, Fighters Are Family. The name, you know, after Gary was shot and killed, we named the show Fighters Are Family, because I look at a lot of these guys as my brother. You know, I mean, I have so many friends that I've helped out, you know, through starting at tapped out to becoming a professional fighter. I mean, Nate Wack, his first fight was with tapped out, and look where the kid's at now. I mean, he's holding 4 or 5 title belts. Andrew Karsten, Eli Cantu. Eli Cantu came to me. I lived on the west side on Edison Street, and Eli Cantu came to me with a couple of his buddies, Alfredo, and all them. And hey, how can we get into this? How can we fight? And we hooked them up, and look where they're at now. You know, from where Eli started to where Eli is now is a complete 360, and base of it was started right there at Tapped Out. Our main event was Mike the Junkyard Dog versus Vermario BTA Naper. Naper had walked through, I want to say, 3 or 4 guys, and I don't even think he got punched. I offered him a 170-pound title fight. We got Mike Junk to accept the fight, which is great. Junk sells a lot of tickets. He's got a lot of followers. I mean, if you were at the show, you heard his crowd chanting "Junkyard Dog." He's a tough character, and Vermario had him stuck in that guillotine pretty deep there in the first round, and I was almost thinking that if Naper would have had another 15-20 seconds, the fight would have been ended. Junk got rocked in the second round, caught a big knee on the way down, and Naper, I think I want to score Naper the first 2 rounds of that fight. In between round 2 and 3, Naper was, you could tell he was running on low fuel. He was running out of gas, and Mike Junk capitalized on it. He got the takedown, he got mount. It landed some vicious ground and pound to pound out Naper for the title. I want to say the co-main event was another great fight. It surprised the hell out of me. We put Miguel Pac-Man Perez versus Andrew A.K. Karsten. Karsten's got a lot of fights. Miguel's fresh back to the fight game. He took some time off. He come back, and the only person that's beat Miguel so far is Blake King. Blake King is a tough kid. But this fight was really surprising. Miguel, the Pac-Man versus Karsten fight was great. It surprised the hell out of me, like I said. It ended with a 26-second guillotine. Perez won. With Karsten's record and stuff, you would assume that Karsten would have won that fight. But like I said, Miguel Pac-Man Perez, he's got a 55 title shot coming up. We just got to find somebody game enough to fight him. Some of the other fights that I thought were really good, I want to say Corey Jackson, Gary Alilovich's cousin. They went to a 3-round decision. Them guys, they beat the hell out of each other, and it was a really good fight. Kyle Dark and Brandon Highland. I want to say that was a really good fight. A lot of fights this show went 3 rounds, and you know, when you get into the second and third round, I always look at it as a matchmaker and a promoter. If the fight makes it past the first round, I did my job as a matchmaker and a promoter, because you never know what's going to happen after that first round. You know what I mean? It changes. It takes a lot out of a guy to go out there for 3 minutes and swing and kick and fight another man that's trying to fight you as equally as hard. You know. Another kid that impressed me, I want to say Zach Majera. The kid let his hands go finally, and look what it did. You know, they got him the W.
Bradley, 16-year-old kid. Yeah,
Bradley Zeitler. He trains at the Bulldog Fight Team. The kid is 16 years old. He fought twice for me Saturday. The kid he's got superstar quality. I mean, he's so young that he can be molded into anything that you'd want him to. You know what I mean? And Todd Brown's doing a great job with him over at the Bulldog Fight Camp. Like I said, we're looking for a 55-game opponent for Miguel Pac-Man Perez. I've also offered Blake King a 145-pound title, and I'd also like to see if Bradley Zeitler would accept that fight at 45. I think both of them kids are young. Both of them are tough as nails, and I think that would be one hell of a main event. I'd say as far as training, we have Ribeiro Jiu-Jitsu over off of Mishawaka Avenue and Logan, or Ironwood. That's Logan, right? Yeah, it's Logan and Mishawaka Avenue with Gary Briscoe. It's a great place to train. We have Bulldog Fight Team here in Osceola. Todd Brown, which is a UFC vet, he runs that out there with Joe Alexander. It's a great fight. Todd Brown produces some great fighters, taking nothing away from their camp. Wally Holman, he opened up a gym out in Edwardsburg, Michigan. There's a lot of places, you know. I mean, you can train, like I said, you can train in your garage. You can train in your basement. You can train on your living room floor. You can train in your front yard. You can train at a park. But you're not going to get any kind of training like you're going to get at a place like Ribeiro Jiu-Jitsu, Wally Holman's place, Todd Brown with the Bulldog Fight Team. Those are legit gyms. The fight was, like I said, in memory of Gary Alilovich. He was shot and killed in Benton Harbor protecting a female from she was a victim of domestic violence. Gary's girlfriend was with us Saturday. Her name is Nikki. We raffled off some things. I want to say thank you to Ron DeLeon for the tickets. I want to say thank you to Pete from TWC for the tickets. I want to say thank you to Chris Snyder from Tapped Out. Nikki is pregnant with Gary's unborn son, and it really meant a lot to me and my family. Being, you know, I lost my kid's mother. My kids have lost their mother. So I know what it kind of, you know, what she's going through and what they're going to go through as far as the pain and the hurt from losing someone that close to you. We helped raise her some money, and we did a really good job, and I'm really proud of everybody that came out and helped out and chipped in on the cause. And we'll say this next show we've talked about, and mentioned something about doing something for the troops. If you know, I'm open to ideas. If people want to hit me up on Facebook and suggest something, I'm always open for ideas. If you can find me another place in Niles that's big enough, if you can find me a place in Edwardsburg that's big enough, if you can find me a place in Benton Harbor that's big enough, I mean, no, we're not going to pay $4,000 or $5,000 to rent a building overnight. We're not going to do it. But if you can find a place that's big enough to have a cage fight, let me know. I'm open to ideas. I'm open to any. If you can help me better my show, better our show, Chris and I show, I'm open to all your ideas. being that we had so many people at this show, if you were there, you know it was packed. We plan on bringing in, what I'm going to do this time is for the pizza, the drink area there, and the back fighters room. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run a video camera to some flat screen TVs. That way all the fighters and all the corners, because if you look at it, we have 20 fights, okay? That's 40 fighters, that's 80 corners. That's 120 people. That 120 people can be out of the way for another 120 paying customers, and they can be in the back in the fight room where they need to stay and belong and watch the fights as well and not miss nothing. I'm thinking about putting a flat screen in the lobby, a flat screen in the drink in the rest area there, a flat screen back in the fight room, just to bring the fights throughout the hotel, so people that are in the back that are complaining that can't see, because it is a small venue, you know, it is a small venue. But we like to keep it small. We really do, and it's up close and personal. Like I said, you may even get blood on you coming to a Tapped Out show. You're gonna see it. I mean, you're gonna see guys, a lot of guys that are 0-0, and you know, those are the fights that I love. I mean, I honestly love watching 0-0 guys. They're in there, they're putting it all on the line. You know, it's not going to be a strategic battle. It's just going to be a bar brawl is what it boils down to. And taking nothing away from the 0-0 guys, because I mean, hell, if you watch some of the fights, some of the best fights are 0-0 guys. Tapped Out at, you know, our fights, we do bring a lot of newcomers to the sport. And once you fight, it's kind of like tattoos. Once you get one, you're going to keep getting them. So once you fight and you step into our cage, I guarantee you're going to be calling me back, "Hey Scotty, can I do it again?" Definitely not happy about the choice of the wrestling being dropped out of the Olympics. I myself am a wrestler. I grew up wrestling my life. My whole life was wrestling. Live, eat, sleep, breathe wrestling. My sons, Riley Penrod and Trevor Penrod. Trevor right now is 19-1 on varsity as a 6th grader at John Young. Riley last year went 50-5. Unbelievable. I mean, you can YouTube my son Riley Penrod, and he's got a little highlight reel up there. That's something that, you know, my kids wanted to compete in. You know, other kids, there's guys out there, you know, the Brooks brothers, Jared Brooks and Justin Brooks, that could possibly very well have the caliber and the talent to be an Olympic wrestler that will no longer get to be one. That's, you know, with wrestling, you don't go pro. There is no go pro, play football, get paid, you know. The Olympics is the peak of our sport, and to take that away is ridiculous. I mean, you have ribbon dancing and you play ping pong, but you don't want to wrestle? My kids, I have 2 boys that wrestle, and they also actually trained a little jiu-jitsu under Gary. One is here, Riley. You know, come over here, buddy, and you can talk to the camera with Dad. This is my son Riley. He wrestles. He's 9 years old. He wrestles intermediate 55. He's a little guy, but he's got a lot of fight in him. This last weekend, Riley went to John Young tournament.
Yep, 3-0.
You tell him.
I went 3-0 and I beat Nick Hattery.
Yep.
Nick Hattery in the finals. I was stuck on my back for like, how many seconds? Like 45 seconds, and at the end of it, 5 seconds left, I cratered him and pinned him. And
yeah, it was awesome. Riley, he's got a lot of fight in him. He loves wrestling. I mean, that's his sport. Like I said, I got some videos. I'm gonna get to my buddy Stan. You guys, I'll post them online. He had a 9-second pin this weekend. My other son Trevor, he went 5-0 at a tournament this weekend, and just so proud of what Trevor has become. You know, I got full custody of Trevor when his mother passed away in 2010, June 25th of 2010. And he had never played a sport. Now, in 3 years, the kid has done so much and has come so far that it's literally unbelievable, the athlete that's inside of him. And like I said, as a 6th grader, he's 19-1, and hopefully will be the Big 11 champion this year in middle school. Female fighters, gotta love them. The fans love them. I love watching them fight. We have a girl, Martika Binion. She's my brother Antoine Binion's cousin. You know, me and Antoine, we say we're brothers. We're not really brothers. He's black, I'm white, of course, but he's a brother. We grew up together. You know, he lived with me when we were kids. He's actually locked up right now. Free Binion. Martika, she's tough. She's 1-0. She fought Courtney Hothead Maynard or something like that first fight, and caught her with a guillotine. I actually have her a fight lined up this next show. Martika, that is. But I do believe that, you know, females need to come out, man. Where you ladies at? You ladies that want to fight. I mean, guys fight, girls fight, we all fight, you know. And I know some females that got some punch, you know, to them. And that would do very well in the cage if they stepped into it. But you got to take that first step. You know, you can't say, oh, well, I don't know, you know, I want to train for 6 months, or I want to train for 2 years first, you know. Take that leap. Try it. Once you try it, if, you know, win, lose, or draw, if, you know, you don't want to do it again, you don't have to. But it's getting off the couch and getting out there and just, ladies, let's do it. We need some ladies. Tapped Out wants you, and Scotty here wants to see you guys fight. So, Martika, good luck with your fight this week. Yeah, it's real important. Like I said, to, you know, like I told you before, you know, we can train in basements, we can train in garages, we can train anywhere. But when you get the caliber of guys, like for instance, that train at the Bulldog Fight Team, when you get that kind of caliber of guys, you're only going to get better. You don't get better, you know, beating up on guys that you know you can beat up on. You know, you guys that are hitting me up to fight on the cards, asking me to fight so and so, asking me to fight so and so. You know, I have not yet once, other than from Mario Napier, had somebody hit me up and ask me to fight a fight that they knew they couldn't win. You know, don't hit me up with, oh, hey, I'm so-and-so and I want to fight so-and-so. You know, I'm in this, we're in this business, and we know what we're doing, you know, and if you're honestly calling me and telling me, hey, I want to fight so-and-so, in other words, you think that you're going to kick so-and-so's ass. But that not necessarily may be the case. You know, you may have a problem with this guy that you want to settle in the cage instead of the streets. We can do that too. We've had plenty of grudge matches. I mean, we've had brothers fight each other, you know, cousins fight each other, baby daddies fight each other, you know, we've had it all. But like I said, it's definitely where you train is going to make a difference, you know. Gary at Ribeiro Jiu-Jitsu has some great jiu-jitsu training. Todd Brown specializes, you know, in all of it. He does a lot of MMA because he was, you know, he's a UFC vet and he does fight. And he's got a slew of guys over there that are tough. You know, tough amateurs, tough pros. Joe Hood Alexander, Todd Brown himself, you know, he's fought in the UFC a couple of times.
Steve Lopez.
You know, Stevie Lopez is another one that is out of Todd's camp. That's just, he's tough. So like I said, if you want to go far in the sport and you plan on taking it to that next level, you do need to get into a gym. You can't be in a basement. You can't be on your front yard, you know, or at a park. You need to take it, you know, to the next level and go hit up Todd Brown and Gary Briscoe and them and get into a real gym and really train with real athletes and real MMA fighters. Yeah, I would say what what Stan's doing here with the websites and the things like that is definitely going to help us as local promoters. You know, what we're doing right now is we're in the process of doing a few shows in Michigan, and then we're going to bring one back here to Indiana. I have a couple of spots that I'm looking at as far as venues. I don't want to speak about those over the internet here until it's, you know, booked and set. But definitely this live local radio station that Stan's going to have on his website, it's going to be 24/7, 365 live talk. And it's going to be, you know, MMA fighters, interviews, stuff like we're doing here.
Promoters.
Promoters, myself and Chris Snyder, Scott Johnson, Todd Brown, Mike Brown, you know, Pete from TWC has a top-notch show. Ron DeLeon, Joel Chapman, you know, Doug Stapleton. There's guys out there, you know, us guys, the promoters out there that, you know, have a lot to do with the sport in Michiana, you know, in Michigan, Indiana, you know. A lot of Indiana guys, you know, I see them writing on Facebook, oh, I won't fight in Michigan, you know, because it's an unsanctioned thing, okay? Well, how many of you guys fought in Indiana when it was unsanctioned? You know what I mean? I got these guys sitting here telling me, well, I don't want this guy to bleed on me. Well, 2 years ago when Indiana wasn't sanctioned, that same guy was bleeding on you. You know, 90% of the fighters that are fighting right now fought back then when Indiana was an unsanctioned state. So I do really want Michigan to sanction the shows. It makes a safer environment. The commission's there to make sure that, you know, matches are evenly matched up as far as record and weights. Because, believe me, I mean, I've seen some shady stuff. I mean, we've even done a couple of David versus Goliath matches, but always the opponents agree to it, you know. Hell, back in UFC's first days, you know, you seen Royce Gracie at 160 pounds beating the hell out of Chemo at 240, you know. Size and weight didn't matter back then. You know, it was a fight, and it was a heart. You know, it was how much heart this guy had, and Royce Gracie, I think his heart weighed 185, and he weighed 160. I just, like I said, I think a lot of it, you know, if Michigan sanctions MMA, that's great. You know, does it bother us? No, it don't. I'd rather they do it that way. I can stop listening to these guys that are here in Indiana say, oh, well, I don't want to fight in Michigan because it's unsanctioned. You know, Derek Crunkshank or whatever his name is, Darren Crunkshaw or Crunkshank from the UFC. That, I mean, don't tell me that Michigan fighters can't go pro. Don't tell me their records don't mean nothing. Okay, because if so, why is that man in the UFC head kicking somebody and knocking him out? You know, there's plenty of guys that have come out of Michigan that have went into the UFC. If you're interested in fighting at the Tap Out events, we normally do one once a month, and you can contact me, Scott Penrod, right here. Tapped Out got started on a kind of a couple of buddies just sitting around talking about buying a cage. Me and Chris, Chris calls me one day and he said, Scott, he says, what do you think if I bought a cage and we did some fights at the bar? I looked at him and I said, well, Chris, if you buy a cage and we put it up at the bar, we're going to make some money. He went out that next weekend and he calls me on the way home from Kentucky and he's like, hey, he's like, guess what? I was like, what's up? He's like, got us a cage. I don't think I've been that excited in a long time. This is something that I truly love that I'm unable to do and compete in myself anymore, you know, due to an injury. And like I said, Chris, being a two-time high school state wrestling champion out of Mishawaka, he, you know, and a fighter, he fought with Wally Holm back in the day. Wally used to take Chris and travel around. Chris held multiple belts for Wally. It's just something that him and I both love, and like I said, we have a lot of fun doing it. I enjoy doing it. I do the announcing and I set the fight cards, and put the show together. Chris and I are partners, and like I said, it doesn't get no better. Doing something that you love with one of your best friends and having fun doing it. I'd like to give a couple of shout outs. One, first and foremost, to our new tapped out champion at the 170-pound weight class, Mike the Junkyard Dog. Hell of a fight, dude. I want to give one to Nate Wack, who he was our former 170-pound champion. Just turned the belt over to Junk. He didn't defend it. He's going pro. I'll give a shout out to our 125-pound #1 contender, Jared Brooks. If you know anybody that's 125 pounds, Matthew Baker. If you want round 3, if you want to do number 3, get a hold of me. We'll set it up and we'll make it for a title. I got to have somebody to fight the little mean son of a gun for a title. And Jared's he's no slouch. He's tough. So if anybody knows a 125 pounder that wants to get down, I prefer it be Matt Baker, because they're 1-1 against each other. What better to settle it, than a fight at tapped out for a belt? I say 145-pound Blake King. He's another young kid that's just tough as nails. Our 205 champion actually right now is Robert Thornton, the Gravedigger Thornton. He's actually a 185 pounder. I think what should happen, and I'm going to suggest it, I think what should happen is Thornton goes down to 85 and fights Jarrell Simpson, our 185 pounder, for the title. And I got a newcomer coming. Just spoke with him today. He's a 4-time Michigan State wrestling champion, David O'Neill. This dude is for real. I mean, I've seen him fight. Like I said, he holds multiple belts at TWC, at top-notch shows. He has belts. He beat Matt Stringham. He's beat guys that are top-notch. On Michigan amateur rankings, David O'Neill is ranked #1 in the state at 205. He's tough, and so if you got any 205ers out there that you think is good enough to step in the cage with a guy like David O'Neill, let me know. Yeah, like I said, if if you're a local tough guy, if you just wrestled and you want to fight, if you just want to fight just to release some anger, we have a lot of guys that are newcomers that are 0-0. We get a lot of that, and I personally love it, because like I said, back in the interview, earlier in the interview, that the 0-0 guys, they really go at it. I like to see a lot more guys that I know personally, even on my Facebook page, that should be in the cage, that should at least try it, get in the cage, and you never know. You could end up being a Blake King, a Bradley Zeitler, a Todd Brown. You could end up being in the UFC and starting right here at a local show, right in your own neighborhood.